do not compare yourself with anyone else. When you even compare yourself to, say, equal to men, you begin to lose. You're already losing.
Wow.
I would say that you are so much more powerful than you know, that you think you are. And you become limitless when you have that understanding.
Awesome. Let's welcome Magie Cook to the Entrepreneur Studio. So good to have you here.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Wow. So, I got a little emotional just watching your story there. You said to me backstage that you've seen that video so many times and you still get emotional as well. Talk us through that. What's the thing that really draws out the emotion out of that video?
It's part of going back to where I used to be, but knowing that I'm no longer there. And also knowing that with what I do, that I'm able to make a difference and not only inspire others, but also contribute back to where I came from.
Because you have a unique story where you came from nothing, maybe less than nothing, right? The orphanage, to selling a manufacturing business of salsa.
Yes.
For $231 million.
Yes, it's sold with Garden Fresh. Yes.
So tell us a little bit about why salsa.
You know, if you asked me 20 years ago, if I would be making salsa for a living, I would tell you, you're nuts. But it was an opportunity, and I was really looking for something to prove my caregiver wrong, because he told me that I would never amount to anything, that I would die in prison and with AIDS, because I came out to him as gay.
Wow.
So that was an opportunity that came, and it came through college when I would make it for my people in the dorms, and they would tell my teachers, and my teachers would have it bring it to class. And then I got entered into that salsa contest. So it was kind of like, several events that took place. And once I saw the opportunity, I just decided to grab onto it and do the best that I could.
Do you feel like you took a something to prove moment? And that then you hit this pinnacle, right? Did you feel like there was a stage before, maybe a couple of stages after in your life?
Well, one of the biggest things that I discovered was that never to run a business based on fear. Always run a business based on purpose. Because when you run a business based on fear, there's an energy there. You'll get ahead a certain, amount, but then you'll get stuck. You'll be blocked from success. But when you change that was my rediscovery. When you change that to having a purpose, a meaning behind what you do, actually that happened when my father died, because I didn't have anybody else to prove. And he actually wrote me a letter a week before he died telling me that he was so proud of me.
Oh, that's amazing.
But it took me a rediscovery to knowing that. And once that happened, that's when the company really grew tremendously, and then it sold to Campbell. So
wait a second. So you're saying you had this foundation of fear, or this having to prove something, and there was a moment that the growth really took over when you started to identify sort of your purpose and doing it from a different
Exactly.
place. What are some of the thoughts and feelings that you had that helped you move over into purpose?
Well, I think that I was at a place where I knew that I couldn't please anybody else.
Wow.
And I had to be in a place of, okay, why am I here? Why am I living, existing? There's a purpose for each and every one of us in this time and space. And if you are not walking in it, you're not going to find that fulfillment in life. You have to truly discover or rediscover, in my case, to be able to, because when you live a meaningful life, then life is worth living, truly.
That's awesome. You said something backstage that struck me. And it was about the poll that you took. Tell everybody the story about the poll.
So it is very, very important that to understand that when you have a culture, but also when you are dealing with your customers and clients, is you always want to grow, and you always want to discover what their interests are and how can you make a more prosperous business in both ways.
Yeah.
And so my brother and I conducted a poll, not only to our manufacturing plant, but also to many other manufacturing plants. And the poll was based on what people care the most about. And one of them was money, the other one was environment, the other one was growth, and the other one was family. And guess what came up first?
Not money.
Family was number one.
That's awesome.
They wanted to have a sense of family. And the second one was environment. They wanted to have a good environment. And last was money. Last was money. And it was really a true eye-opening moment for me because my mother actually came to visit the manufacturing plant when we were really growing. And she was sitting in my office, and one of my team members, his name is Lonnie, knocked on the door, and I said, yeah, come in. And he says, Maggie, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted, and he tapped me on my shoulder. He says, I just wanted to let you know that somebody threw beer bottles in the building outside, and I cleaned them up for you, okay? And I said, thank you, Lonnie. I gave him a hug. And he left, and my mother said, wow, they really care about you. And I said, Mom, that's really a family.
That's awesome.
And that's when I knew that we were in the right track of understanding. And the fact that she was able to see that. And I think it goes back to a moment in the orphanage when I was living with all those kids, that there was no culture. It was just two caregivers and all of us, and we grew ourselves up. So I always lived on, trying to see how other people live their lives and how I can make it better, or not try to repeat other people's mistakes.
That's good. One of the things that we talk about a lot is, entrepreneurship is super difficult. Success is no accident.
Right.
Got to do the work. And one of the things that we talk about is you need to have your entrepreneurial family with you.
Yes.
And you in your business, right, going from $800, right, to this hugely successful salsa business, you have these stages.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the, what's your entrepreneurial family, your support system that you've had? Has it always been the same, or has there been different families along the way, or different, bringing new people in or things like that? Talk to me about your entrepreneurial family.
So, part of building that entrepreneur family really goes down to my why. Why am I doing what I'm doing? And what's the purpose behind it? I'll tell you a quick story. When I started my salsa company, and all of a sudden, Whole Foods wanted the product. I actually got rejected by 90 different stores. And
wow.
Finally, Whole Foods wanted it. And so their ask was a ton of salsa. And at that time, I was only making like 250 pounds a week, and they wanted a ton for 1 week. And I didn't know how to hire people. And I went to the state, to the SBA, and they told me, go to the state and they'll provide. And I said, okay. So I called them, and the next day I had 20 people, exactly what I needed.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And I remember I put them in a room, and I got up in the center of the room and I said, hey guys, my name is Maria Magdalena de la Cruz Garcia. I have an awesome pico de gallo de salsa. I know you guys would love it. And look, Whole Foods wants it. And we're going to be amazing. And guess what? We're going to become the largest fresh salsa company in the US, and you guys are going to help me take it there. And they were, oh my gosh, yes. They were so excited. So I remember we started production, and every day for lunch, I would buy them lunch, and we would always talk about how we could improve production. And when we finished that little, talk with everybody's always so excited. We were sitting on the rocks outside, and this African-American guy stayed behind, and I said, hey, what's up? What's going on? He said, Maggie, I just wanted to tell you thank you so much for hiring me, because nobody else would hire me. And I said, why not? You're awesome. He says, well, I just came out of prison and I did this, this, and that. And I was like, la, 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 la. I don't want to know anything. Listen, you're awesome. Just go. And so I was like, oh my God, I have a convicted felon in my... And so I went outside and I called the state and I said, hey, you sent me a guy from prison. He says, oh yeah, they're all from prison. But they were the best working people I ever had because I took them with my why. And it's part of building that family. And it's putting that thought in, that idea of, what would Maggie do in any situation? It's part of the bigger why, is taking you with me. And so out of that was birthed enthusiasm, They were compensated for any new ideas, which made them want to create new ideas to make it better. And that's really how it grew. And I think with everything in a business, it's all about energy. You do attract that which you are and that which you put out. And so you begin to manifest the people, places, and circumstances to take you closer to your goal. And that's really how you begin to grow a big family.
That's amazing. Did you have any idea the business would have the exit or the wild success that it had?
No.
You were just going after it.
No, but I did make affirmations. Sometimes I had to pinch myself, and I would meditate and manifest these things. Like when I manifested the Walmart contract, I was like, the largest supermarket in the world is going to call me. I didn't say the name because I didn't want to limit myself. And when they called me, I told my business partner, and she says, "It's a prank, hang up." So it was Walmart. They're like, "We looked at 10 companies online. We saw yours. We think yours is the best. You want to sell to Walmart?" And so I had to, "Is this a prank?" They're like, "No, we're the real deal." So
they called you.
Yeah, they called me.
That's amazing.
And a month later, I was in Bentonville shaking the hand of the guy that is the main guy for all the Walmarts and the Sam's Clubs of the entire United States. And that's really where everything began.
Man, that is amazing. So. Well, what is like, I'm going to talk about a business challenge, right? What is the biggest business challenge you've ever had? And then what did you do? Like, what are the thoughts you have? What did you do to overcome that business challenge?
I think it really is going to go back to feeling fear of failure.
Okay.
And that had to do tremendously with my father. And that was a great challenge for me because I didn't want to fail. So I was trying to figure out everything else that I could do to make it a success. But then I didn't know at the time that fear was holding me back. And that is very challenging because I could have been stuck, And a lot of people think, I do coach people and they come to me and they said, "Oh, I have this block in business and I can't get ahead." And 9 times out of 10, it has nothing to do with the business, but something that is very personal to them that they haven't fixed from an earlier time.
Wow.
And so sometimes we have to look within in order to work the great things outside of us.
That's amazing. One of the things that the theme that I'm really picked up from you is there is a self-discovery that it seems like you're constantly doing.
Yes.
So what is something that you did, that you went from being able to prove it to living in purpose? What self-discovery, what were the things that got you to see, the things you were thinking, the mindset you had, the fears, the questions, the thoughts? What a lot of us aren't necessarily that self-aware. What was something that got you to that layer to start thinking and feeling that way?
I think the biggest thing that I had the realization of was remember to remember that we are so much more powerful than we think we are. Here's the thing. Every morning when we wake up, we forget. It's like a Control-Alt-Delete, right? So every morning you have to remember that you are so much more than what you see, so much more than what you think, so much more than what others think of you. So when you live in a stage of knowing that you're just a spiritual being having a human experience, and then you become limitless in a way that nothing stops you, only your thinking, and nobody else outside of you can waver you because you're so centered in who you know that you really are.
That's awesome. So one of the things that I think is really interesting is just knowing our value as entrepreneurs, as leaders, as whether you're leading self, leading others, or leading the business. What do you think is, or do you believe is the most valuable thing that Magie Cook brings to this world?
I think the humility is important, and always remember where you came from. But also knowing that you have to put yourself in other people's shoes. You have to listen to them, to understand them in order to create that connection, in order to create that growth, whatever it is, even in your personal life, even if it's a business. So it's part of EQ, emotional intelligence. Being vulnerable enough to accept that, another person is real too, that they're very real and they're very much like you. and being able to listen to them and put yourself in their shoes and see the world how they see it in order to be able to help them, I think that's a gift that every one of us has.
Well, you seem to have learned a lot from experience.
Yes.
And I like something that you said about being able to, learn from other people's mistakes. What is the most, what's the best piece of advice anyone's ever given you?
Best piece of advice. Ooh, that's a tough one.
I'm asking some tough ones up here.
I think one goes back to when I was a basketball player in high school, and I was told by my coach that it didn't matter how nice our uniforms were. If we sucked, then we weren't anything, right? So it's important. What we are outside has nothing to do with what we are inside. So if we can perfect the game inside, I think that can bring us limitless success.
Okay, that's super good. Perfect the game inside. That's amazing. I think what's next for you? You know?
Yes. So I'm right now speaking, and by the way, most of what is made of speaking and selling books goes back to Mexico, the orphanage and kids and all that, human sex trafficking. So what's next is I'm just continuing to speak in stages, and we are working on a movie. So hopefully it'll be able to inspire and make a difference in a bigger way.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think we talk about success being no accident. What is something that you felt like you were talking about manifesting too, but like what is something that is like it seems so accident that happened that was so amazing? What's something that really, and it could be personal or business.
It was accident?
Yeah, it seemed like an accident, right? You stumbled into it.
So when I was in high school, I got recruited to play basketball for the Mexican national team. And we went to Mexico City. They recruited me. And then I came back and waited for 3 months and never heard from them. And then my father introduced American football, and I broke my collarbone. And he told me, he's a doctor, your dreams are over. And I cried, but I just believed that there was something better. If this happened, there must be something better. And that's been the mentality. And so 3 days later, they called and I couldn't go. And I was like,
Oh, my goodness.
But luckily that summer, my parents took a bus to the United States with all my 68 siblings.
Yeah.
And we got invited to a picnic in West Virginia. And there was a basketball court. And there happened to be the coach of the University of Charleston. And she saw me play. And she told my father, I want her to come play for me in a scholarship.
No
That's why I'm
way.
here today. But if I would have listened to my father as a doctor and said my dreams are over, and I wouldn't have played that day, I wouldn't be speaking to you today.
Man, that's amazing. That is amazing. All right. So we have this thing called rapid fire.
Uh-oh.
Okay. It's going to be kind of fun. We called it lightning round yesterday, but it's really called rapid fire.
Okay.
I have 7 questions for you.
Okay.
Give me your shortest answer,
Okay.
and we'll go through. Okay. You ready?
Yes.
Number 1, what is the secret to making a really good salsa?
Oh. I'll have to kill you. I'm just...
You signed a contract.
The secret to the secret ingredient, it's you.
Oh, there we go.
Because there's so many products out there. I think it's the why, the passion to make something come true. The secret is you.
And doing that at scale
Yes.
that's the clicker.
Yes.
All right. Number 2, you provide a lot of inspirational content on Instagram. What inspires you?
What inspires me? Being able to make a difference.
Oh,
And if I get a lot of messages of people, oh my gosh, this was right for me today, that makes my heart sing. So
that's awesome.
Yes.
All right. Number 3, aside from Mexican food, what other culinary regions do you like to explore?
I'm vegan, so I just eat as fresh as possible. And I just found everybody's different, and that's okay. And I just find that it gives me a lot of energy, and I feel more alive when I eat that way.
All right.
So,
That's awesome. Do you still eat your own salsa?
hell yeah.
All right. Couple more. Number 5, what's your pet peeve?
That is something that I don't like, right?
Yeah.
Um,
You
Pet
particularly do not like.
do not like. I do not like to be around people who are negative.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Number 6. Yeah, there you go. Number 6, what are, your 3 core values?
I think always treating others like I was treating myself. Always remembering my purpose daily. And always remember where I came from and stay humble.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Last question.
Yes.
Let's say you have a billboard on the side of a highway
Yes.
that only female business owners drive by. What is the single message or piece of advice that you would share with those ladies?
I would say that do not compare yourself with anyone else. When you even compare yourself to, say, equal to men, you begin to lose. You're already losing.
Wow.
I would say that you are so much more powerful than you know, that you think you are. And you become limitless when you have that understanding.
I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for coming.
Thank
So glad
you.
to have you. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.